Welcome to NWA Connie Corso's podcast, where we talk all things dogs.
Champion, and they make me the underdog. I'm gonna show them all their own because I'm the champion. I'm the real champion. There'll never be one like me.
All right, welcome back to the NWA Connie Corso show. I am your host, Joe. We're going to get right to it. My camera looks a little dark, but all right. Brother Haz is in the house, ladies and gentlemen, for his second appearance on NWA Connie Corso. Haz, how you doing, sir?
Not too bad. How are you?
I am in it to win it, man. I'm glad. Yes, sir. I'm glad you came back and hollered at us. We got a saying down south is somebody, you see them everywhere. They're in the news a lot. They're in a lot of talks and everything. We call it hotter than fish grease, and you're pretty hot right now. Those breed profiles, boy. Oh my God, yeah. People bit, yeah. It is what it is. What it is. Yeah, man. I wanted to talk to you today about the future of dog training, and you got a course out that I'm gonna share here in just a second. So what my first question is how do you solve the tactical gap, in person versus online, tension through the leash, touch issues and things like that? What's your thoughts?
So when I first started with my online courses, it was kind of like I was one of the earlier ones to the online courses. And to be honest, I don't even really know why I did it. It was just one of those things where I had some time on my hands and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put, I'm going to put, all the things that I do online. It was a time I actually kind of got a lot of these courses together during COVID. So, up here during COVID, we were all locked up. And what was happening was a lot of people that I was training, to train dogs, whether they were both clients and people that work for me, were, running off and starting their own dog training businesses. And they were basically doing all the things that they learned when they were training with me. Right. And I said, if I'm not careful, somebody's going to really steal my intellectual property beyond actually, just doing it for themselves. Like I'm not talking about like running their own business, even if they're literally copying everything that I do. I'm talking about actually starting to put it out there online and say that, hey, like this is my stuff. This is my, these are the things that I came up with. These are the processes that I follow. These are the training systems that I do. And I could see that coming. So I said, you know what, if I don't do this, someone else will, and they are going to steal my intellectual property. So that was really actually the reason why I did it. Now, when I started doing it, I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but what I had was over a decade of training people. And when you train people, you know all the mistakes that they typically make. So as I went through my instructional video step by step, I said, okay, well, I know a lot of you are probably going to do this. If you do this and you see this, then you should do that. So I was able to get out in front of like a lot of the issues that people typically have when, training the various behaviors, using the various tools, all that type of stuff, because quite frankly, I train so many people that, I'm well aware of the mistakes they typically make and the things that you would generally see. So, that was a leg up for me, and that gave me the advantage to maybe give a much more detailed instruction than a typical online dog training course would have.
Gotcha. You might have knocked out my next question, but you got two of them. One says secret sauce and the other power obedience here. Yeah. They attempt to quantify the drive and speed. How did you break that down instinctual so anybody can get it?
So the secret sauce course is actually, like those courses you're pointing to, those are dog competition obedience courses. Okay, so those are courses for people interested in competing with their dog.
Yeah.
And one of the problems that I had early on in my dog sport career was translating what occurred in training to what was occurring on the field when we were trialing. And a big problem that you run into is that, obviously in training, we're using we're using tugs, balls, all these types of things to make the dog drivey, to make the dog active, to, make the dog motivated. But obviously on the trial field, you don't have any of these things. So in the past, it was kind of like a race against the clock. Like, okay, like how long can I go before my dog realizes I have nothing and then kind of like falls out of drive, right? And obviously for different dogs, it's a different thing. Like, typically a Malinois might never realize that you don't have anything, whereas a German Shepherd might put 2 and 2 together within about 5 minutes. So the secret sauce course is my solution to that. The secret sauce course is, how do you make the dog active and powerful, right, through the whole thing? How do you make the dog active and powerful in all the exercises? And how do you make the dog want to do obedience beyond the fact that you have treats or you have a toy or whatever else? Like, how do you really intrinsically motivate him? How do you get that dopamine, going? How do you get that arousal, that association with the obedience exercises, across to the dog in such a way that they're always kind of full power when they do it? And the secret sauce course was a result of that.
Gotcha. Now, mind you, everybody, I hadn't seen any of these courses, so I'm asking truly from the heart about this stuff. So when you use videos as a diagnostic tool, especially with high-level trainers, they use it to self-critique. Does the online format actually create better handlers because it forces them to record and review their own reps?
I think so. Like, I think at the end of the day, obviously, like I have an online community, right? And what the community does, like we have a big Facebook group with, thousands of members, and what they're able to do in that group is ask each other questions and post videos for each other to critique. And you have people that have been through that course or the various courses that we have. And they're basically subject matter experts. And then we have people, that are just starting out, so they can post a video and say, hey, like, my dog is not doing X, Y, or Z. What's going on here? What's wrong? I know in my personal dog sport journey, videoing my work and watching it critically was a big part of my, growth as a trainer. So that's definitely something that's good. I think the other thing too is what I've learned is there's a lot of people that are able to do a ton of stuff with video, and then there are some people that aren't. Right. And those and maybe they can get, kind of halfway there, or in some cases none of the way there. And those are the people that really need that in-person, in-person guidance. But there are some people, actually, I should say there are many people that are able to watch step-by-step videos and really get somewhere productive. So, I guess it really goes down to more the individual.
Right. Okay, cool. So certification, do you see this as a thing in the future where like online certifications carry more weight than kind of like local unstandardized certification?
I mean, I look, man, like when we talk about certifications in dog training, you would be now referring to my online pro trainer course. Okay. And that's a course where I certify dog trainers. Well, the reason why I started that is because there's so many bullshit certifications out there. There's like the APBT, I don't know, Association of Pet Dog Behavior Trainers or some nonsense like this, right? And there's all these kind of like ABC associations certifying people, and they take like online multiple choice tests, and they read the nonsensical propaganda that's being presented as like fact and like scientific certainty, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, these are certified, and they would use this word all the time in the industry. I'm a certified by who, motherfucker? Who certified you? Let me see that person train a dog, because I guarantee you that person who certified you can't train a dog, and the person who certified them can't train a dog, and not one of them can train a dog. And I know you sure as hell can't train a dog. So I say, well, I consider myself to be a pretty good dog trainer. I know that's not popular to say. We all have to pretend like, oh, I don't know. No, I'm a
Be
damn good
humble,
dog
yeah.
trainer.
Yeah.
I'm real good at what I do. I made it my business to be good at what I do, and obviously, a lot of people agree with me. So I said, well, why don't I create a certification that actually makes sense, right? A certification where people can see the certification, not just, oh, they took a multiple choice test and paid a few $1,000, so they're certified. No, 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 no. I don't care how much money you pay me. You are going to take a test that everybody can see, and I'm going to post that test on the internet. So when someone searches your name, John Smith, okay, they're going to see your name and the test that you took, and they're going to see you with your dog that you trained, and you are going to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can either train a dog or you cannot, right? And anybody that follows me knows that I also post the people that fail too, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
if you fail the certification, I post that because that's just as important. We have a standard. You either meet it or you don't. If you don't, of course, you have another opportunity to take the test and to make the standard. But the standard is not a theoretical standard. This is dog training.
Right.
Like this is not some like loosey goosey academic pursuit. This is dog training. You can either train a dog or you can't. People are coming to you and they're saying, and you're saying to them, I'm a certified dog trainer. So we made that mean something in my course, in my program. I made that mean something. For me to say, I certify you, you are certified, that has to mean something. There's an objective standard that you met. And there's no other certification program out there that I know of that offers that.
So you're a pretty smart, innovative man, right? So, and we living in a time of AI. Is there anything with AI video analysis emerging that you could see that will be like a real-time feedback situation one of these days?
Oh yeah.
It is?
Yeah, there's going to be an AI has soon. And
Okay.
AI has is going to be holding your hands while you take online courses. AI has is going to answer all your questions. AI has is going to know everything that Real has ever said in writing and on the internet in video form.
Right.
And it's going to amalgamate all that information and be able to spit out answers to people's questions and do so in my tone of voice with my facial expressions, and everything that I would do, AI has will be able to do and say. Obviously not physically, but like in terms of virtually. And that will be a huge component of the future when it comes to online coaching, online instruction, so on and so forth. Thankfully, though, for us in dog training, AI will not replace dog training.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to get into that. Okay. Matter of fact, let's do it right now. Let's talk about some real world implications here. So let me see in my notes. Okay. So at what specific threshold of human aggression or severe environmental reactivity do you tell a student, shut the laptop, go find a decoy, go find somebody in person?
Yeah, I mean, like I say that right off the hop. If you've got like a really serious or dangerous case, that is not something to screw around with on the internet. That's something where you need to go and find a professional that knows what they're doing with that type of case. I offer reactive, like I'll show like I have a course on resource guarding, training reactive dogs, stuff like that. But I don't really have anything where I'm talking about severe human aggression or anything like that, just simply because, again, like the risks are significantly higher, when you're dealing with those types of dogs. Thankfully, they're relatively rare. Most people's dogs fall into the category that I would consider to be like reactive on some level, or you have your typical resource guarding behaviors, so on and so forth. In my book, I do talk about how to deal with dominant dogs and dogs that try to come up the leash, so on and so forth. And once again, no nonsense dog training, baby. I don't make any money off that book, by the way, but I wanted to put it down in print. I wanted to put it in the written word, and I wanted to provide a book that has the type of information you will not find in books in this day and age. And so I did.
Okay, so I got a friend of mine in Ohio named Davina,
Okay.
aka the Ohio Malinois mom that just loves you to death. That's
Okay.
one of the questions she gave me. What's up, Davina? She's right here. So she wanted me to ask you. She said 2 years ago you had a book you were writing about the book of bite work. She wanted me to ask you what
Yes.
happened.
What happened with that? I put it on hold because I started getting into some other projects, and I'm bad like that. Sometimes I'll start something and then I'll just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do this," and then I kind of put it on hold. It's still sitting on my computer, half written, you know. But I'll finish it at some point. You know,
Mhm.
I'll definitely do it. I kind of got it going, and then I put it on hold for a little bit, but I will get to it.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and knock out her second question. Davina, you know I'm your boy, don't you? She says you use choop. It signifies the dog has gotten the correct response.
Yeah.
She wanted to know, where did you get that sound instead of yes or a clicker?
I think is many, many years ago. But I got that sound, I think watching some of the Czech trainers. They were big on the chip sound. So I was like, that makes sense. I don't like carrying clickers around, and yes, can be very subjective to the individual, how they say it, so on and so forth. So,
Right.
you know,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
yeah.
I got this one. Um, getting back on the course, how do you handle the? Well, people probably this going to be an ethic thing as far as DIY protection. How
Yeah.
do you ensure people are not creating loaded guns with these?
Man, listen, I got tired of all these. So, like, I made a protection foundations course where I talked about like decoy work, grip development, all this stuff, right?
Mhm.
But obviously, that's not for like owners to do on their own. That's more like stuff for like people that are interested in becoming decoys, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
But I had so many people saying, "Look, has like, can you make one just for those of us that want to do it with our own dog, that
Mhm.
want to, like we don't have access to a decoy, we want a course." And actually, what pushed me to do it was I kept seeing all these bullshit decoy your own dog courses coming out where you had some dude fucking playing tug with it with a dog on a sleeve and like trying to
Mhm.
trick people. Oh, look, you're teaching your dog how to do protection work. It's like, dude, the dog's playing tug on a sleeve with you. That's
Right.
not protection work by any stretch of the imagination. The dog's learning nothing
Right.
that's actually going to help him, right? For those of us that know anything about protection work, especially if we're talking about protection work on the street, what is the most important thing that the dog needs to be able to do on the street? They'll bite a sleeve, they'll bite a suit, but they will not activate. They do not activate. They do not activate on someone who's presenting the non-traditional decoy picture. So those of us that go and engage in recreational bite work, we know what the traditional decoy picture is. The decoy's got a suit on, he's moving in a certain way, he has a stick, a clatter stick, whatever, right? He's stimulating the dog, right?
Mhm.
And the dog learns to respond to that stimulation, to the visual of that equipment, to the visual of those movements, to that specific individual, so on and so forth. But on the street, what you need is a dog that if you grab that collar and you say, watch, watch, his ass is lighting up, whether he's looking in the right direction or not, whether he sees someone who looks like a traditional threat as he perceives it or not, right?
So
That is the
respect
most
display is the
important.
most important thing. So yeah.
Yeah, if he's
Yeah. Yeah.
active, even if he's not maybe the best at engaging, that's 99% of the battle there is, oh crap, okay, he's active. If someone's going to keep getting after you with when you have an active dog, you're
Mhm.
probably in a whole lot of trouble anyways.
Right. Right. Right.
So whether he bites real good or not, you're probably in some trouble anyways, right? Most people that have half a brain on them, when they see a dog lighten up being held by the collar by the owner, they're backing off. Like that's more than enough for most people. They're not gonna, kind of see what the grip quality is like, right?
That's
So for
true.
me, when I'm talking about making a dog that can do something on the street, the activation is the most important thing. And that is where, that is why when I see people saying, oh, this is a DIY protection course, and they're showing, like, oh, like dogs like playing tug on sleeves, and like the handler's wearing a sleeve and the dog, like, bro, that like that is not at all going to help you in real life at all, not even a little bit, right?
Right.
So what I said is, what is something that I can sell to people that will actually give them real value? Because I'm not about, like I'm not about like tricking people or giving them like a false sense of security. I'm about giving them something tangible that they can actually use. So the DIY protection course is actually based in really old school man work, right? Where people were not professional decoys in many cases. It was just literally two dudes, right?
Yeah.
And one dude with the dog and one dude stimulating the dog. And my course goes over how to get any dog that's halfway decent, doesn't even have to be that good, to get active on a threat and to respond to that threat. Right? We don't
Right.
get too far into the weeds on bite work or anything like that, because that's not the important thing. The most important thing is that a handler has a dog, they can hold that dog, they can tell that dog to get after it, that dog's going to get after it as best as he can. And if necessary, absolutely necessary, that dog will engage. And you still can't do that by yourself with your dog. But my DIY protection course, the reason I say it's DIY is because you do not need a professional decoy. All you need is a friend. You just need someone. Everybody knows somebody, right? You can even use your husband. There's ways that we disguise ourselves so that the dog does not recognize us, and a lot of the work isn't even very close to the dog anyway. So it's all about teaching the dog. It's all about rewiring the fight or flight response within the dog, right? Because if you think
Mm-hmm.
about most protection scenarios, there's not a lot of buildup. In many cases, it's a passive scenario, or in many cases, it's sudden and it happens really quickly. So if you got a dog that needs someone to kind of warm them up, you're going to be screwed in that scenario. If you've got a dog that doesn't know how to respond to kind of passive threats, you're going to be screwed in that scenario. You need a dog that you grab that collar, you light him up, he's going to get after it. And that is what that course teaches. Now, in terms of the ethics of it, well, the ethics are, if you want to learn how to train a dog to do real protection work, this is it. Like, what I don't understand what ethical dilemma there could possibly be. I mean, if somebody misuses that, or like, gets somebody hurt or whatever else, I mean, that's their idiot problem. At the end of the day, it's like saying, hey man, like, how can you sell cars? Somebody might crash into somebody with their car. It's like, yeah, they might,
That's true.
you
Yeah.
know, but I believe that people have agency and people have responsibility.
I don't know if I asked you this question the last time I talked to you, but we always have the talks of sport dog and silver dog.
Yeah.
Can they switch roles? Can they be taught to switch roles?
Some dogs can and some dogs can't.
Okay.
But it's all down to the individual. Like, there's dogs that do dog sport only, that you're a little bit in danger every time you work them as a decoy, because if you make a mistake, and you give him the wrong part of you, he'll take it, and he'll put a real hurting on you, because you can just see he's wired that way. He doesn't care. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, he's playing the game, but he doesn't care. And then
Right.
there's some dogs you can see, listen, if it's a game, I'm cool. The second it's not a game and it leaves the parameters of what a game is, I'm out, right?
Right.
But that being said, I would say that in the dog sport that I compete in, IGP, if you want to be at the very top level and your dog thinks it's a game, you're going to get fucked every time you go on the field for protection, because you're going to take huge point losses there, right? It's not a game. Like, there
Right.
has to be some level of seriousness and urgency that the dog brings to the work. If the dog's just playing, yeah, that's going to be reflected, and you're definitely not going to be winning anything at the top level.
Gotcha. All right. Guys, I'm gonna take some questions from the chat, but I'm gonna rattle a few more off before we get to those questions. Man, I get in trouble a lot because I'm online, and so when you're talking to people, you get in trouble. You're an experienced man with different breeds. You've been doing them breed profiles, and people have been going crazy when you say something about their dogs, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I want to do kind of a brief rundown, ask you about some different breeds, because but first let me start off. I hear this softening of the breeds, like breeding down. You a trainer? What are you seeing out out there when do you believe that in general the dogs are being bred down?
Of course. I mean, it only goes to it stands to reason. I mean, the vast majority of breeders are not prioritizing the original purpose or the working quality of the dogs because that's not really what sells them. What sells them is the appearance of the dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you got temperament at a distant second, and then when we talk about any kind of working quality, that's an even further and more distant third. So, when we're talking about a breed, let's just pick one out of the hat. The Cane Corso, for instance.
Uh-oh.
Like,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
like we'll pick a Cane Corso, right? Originally, it's a working breed. Okay,
Yes, sir.
it's an Italian Mastiff. It's a working breed.
Mm-hmm.
How many people actually work their Cane Corsos?
Not many
Point
on
zero
yeah.
1% maybe of all Cane Corsos ever get worked, and the vast majority of people that buy those dogs could care less about the actual, they could care less, or they just don't know, right, anything about the actual working quality of the dog. Most people just assume that because it is that breed, it will be able to do the things that that breed is supposed to be able to do. But of course, breeders know very well, right, that most people are never going to actually test the dogs, and in most cases the breeders don't even know, right, anything about like working quality or anything like that, and they're
Mhm.
simply breeding the dogs for the size, for the appearance, and those are the things that really sell the dog. There are very, very, very few people that will ever buy a Cane Corso with an eye towards the working quality of the dog. The appearance of the dog sells the dog, period, dot. And so the appearance of the dog is what is focused on in the breeding. So you will see that across the board. In fact, dogs that have good working quality, especially a dog like a Cane Corso, right?
Mhm.
That dog is actually probably going to be more difficult. As a breeder, you're going to be more likely to get that dog back. The people are going to complain about that dog more, right?
Mhm.
So instead, the breeders breed them softer, breed them with lower drive. Oh, yeah, this one's real good. It's biddable, listens to me all the time. I'm going to breed this one because she's so nice. I'm going to breed him because he's so friendly,
Mhm.
right? And then
Mhm.
next thing you know, you got a litter of nervous shitbags, right? But they look real good, and there's no problem selling them at 8 weeks old, right? And then people are confused because their Cane Corso that's beautiful, is nervous of everything. He's terrified of the world, and he's reactive at 4 months of age, and by the time he's 8 months of age, he bit the neighbor. Oopsie daisy,
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
like your typical journey that a lot of people go on because, of course, that's what's the market incentivizes, right?
Right, right. Well, let me ask you this: when we talk about breeds like the Connie Corso, the Rottweiler, and things like that, and we're not living, they're not going to be pulling carts, they're not going to be,
Yeah,
working farms like they used to,
yeah.
but the natural guard instinct we'll want to keep. Do you think, uh, with today's time, people need dogs that we kind of romanticize as being war dogs or things, you know what I mean?
Most people don't, sir, but I look at dogs like that as the same way I would look at, a Ram TRX or a Ford Raptor, or pick any a Mercedes, GL63. It's like, do you need it? No. Like you can make do with a Dodge Caravan, but
Hmm.
do you want it? Because it's something of quality, it's something of substance, it's something that has more to offer. It's beyond the minimum standard of, like, I mean, I think most everybody knows in this day and age, you can go find a pound and get a dog for practically free out of there, right? You
Right.
want a big one, you can get a big one. You want a little one, you can get a little one. But there are many people that appreciate the finer things in life. They appreciate the craftsmanship, the human endeavor that went into the production of something that is the product of intention, especially when we speak about breeding.
Hmm.
Hundreds of years of intention going back to the times of the Roman Empire, right?
Hmm.
It's like that is a special thing. That is a valuable thing. That is a beautiful thing. And there are some people that appreciate that and want that in their life. But, of course, a lot of people maybe don't appreciate how much of the thing, or sorry, some of the things that may come along with the qualities that those dogs were bred for. So, does
Right.
it mean that we shouldn't breed them with that level of quality? I would say, maybe you don't need to push for extremes, but at the end of the day, there should be some level of acknowledgement towards the working quality of the dogs in the breeding. In most cases, it's just sadly completely absent from the dogs.
Gotcha. Let's stick on masters for a minute. Do you find that trainers often may struggle with the lower engine of breeds like the Pressa, the Corso, the Boerboel, and
I,
the
I,
maturity?
I think trainers struggle with two things when it comes to these breeds. You take you take Presa, Canacorso, Borbal, all these mastiffs, right? Like, of course,
Mhm.
there's a lot of slippage within those individuals, right? You'll have some that are high drive, some that are low drive, some that are no drive, some that are uber confident, some that aren't at all. And of course we have that. But in general, when we speak about those breeds, there are two common traits that trainers struggle with. Number one, yes, there's often a lack of protracted motivation. So there can be
Mhm.
motivation in the short term, like he's got food drive or he wants to play, but oh crap, it's been 5 minutes and he's finished, right? And then that impacts a lot of trainers who overly rely on those things. And then a lot of trainers also struggle with how those dogs respond to pressure. And I've
Mhm.
spoken about this in my breed reviews. And the way that these dogs typically respond to pressure, and you can lump the Rottweiler and the bully and all those types of dogs in there, is they tend to be quite sensitive to pressure, right? When they're not stimulated or aroused. They're actually very sensitive to pressure, and you have to be very careful how you introduce it and
Right.
how you use it. Otherwise, you tend to make the dog, a little bit down, suppressed looking, sad, right?
Mhm.
And that's because they tend to be sensitive little souls. The problem with those dogs comes in when something excites or arouses them. Typically, it's another dog, maybe a strange human being, approaching or something. And
Mhm.
at that point, all of a sudden, when that arousal kicks in with those breeds, it's like they turn into a different dog completely. And the level of sensitivity that they have, you need 100x that amount in order to accomplish the same result that you were accomplishing, with a fraction of it. And so most people go up, 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 and then all of a sudden the dog overreacts, overstimulates, redirects on them, becomes more intense in its arousal towards the target stimuli, be it another dog, usually it's another dog, right? Person, or so on and so forth. And people really struggle with balancing the use of pressure in the training with those dogs. Now, I know, well, probably, I don't know how many force-free ideologues listen to your podcast, but
Not many.
I would assume not many, but there's
Yeah.
always a few that manage to come through the cracks somehow. So I know that's why we don't use pressure, and that's why you're never able to train those dogs to any reasonable level. So you guys can take that nonsense and get the hell out of here, because we know that you guys can't. We know you guys can't train those dogs by any stretch of the imagination, not even close. Like, you'll never see a force-free trainer walking, a Presa Canario off leash down the sidewalk, or even recalling one in a park, with any
Mhm.
level of competing motivation, because they know what's going to happen, right? So, it's just. It's simply not a non-issue. But when you use pressure with those dogs, you really need to know what you're doing,
Mhm.
because when you don't, what I see with a lot of trainers, what they end up with is a dog that is forever in a state of containment. So they got the pinch collar, they got the e-collar, they got everything on the dog, but that dog's always on a tight leash, and they're always holding the dog back, and we can't get too close to other dogs because he's going to lose his mind. And so the dog is always what we call in a state, he's always in a state of containment, because because they never were able to actually install meaningful impulse control on that type of dog. Because yeah, the pressure that works when he's not aroused, like it impacts him very, significantly, and you can delude yourself into believing he's fully under control until something spikes his arousal, and then you lose him completely. And that's the difference between like a trainer that really knows what they're doing and one that does not.
You talking about force free just a second ago, and I saw your
Mm.
debate. I saw your debate, man. You were very. I saw you.
Man,
It was mismatch.
at the end of the day, you got to be a gracious individual.
Uh-huh.
Like I kind of knew it was probably going to go that way, but at the
Mhm.
end of the day, sometimes you got to remind people who you are. You
Right.
know, you
Yeah.
got to remember, like you got to remind people and just be like, listen, don't play with me. Like I know what I'm doing. I might be a little bit bombastic on the internet, but I really actually do know what I'm doing, and I have the results, the on field performance and the in life performance to back it up. Right? I don't talk about things that I don't know, and so when we speak about these types of things, at the end of the day, like I'll be gracious, but we have to also be dead serious with this type of stuff. It's not a joke. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like people are giving us their hard-earned money. There's dogs' lives on the line with this type of stuff. It's not a ha ha ha. Like let's all screw around and be buddy buddy. At the end of the day, no, 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 no. This is some serious stuff, and they did that in Europe, and
It's political.
most
Yeah.
of them have lost the ability, to openly. They all still do it, don't get me wrong. Like I think
Mhm.
Germany's second in the world for e-collar sales, but like they have lost the ability to tell the truth, because if they tell the truth, they're criminals. So you have these like idiots over there. Oh, in Europe we don't need these tools, blah 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 blah. It's like, oh yes, you do. All your top trainers use them, but they can't say it because they would become criminals the instant that they said that. They can't speak the truth. You've criminalized the truth over there. And that's why idiots like you are talking on the internet and telling us nonsensical stories about what's going on in Europe. Meanwhile, I've been to Europe many times. Believe me, none of that shit's going on. There's no like well-trained, off-leash, like, dogs in great profusion walking around everywhere in Europe like they would have you believe in the internet
Right.
comments. There's none of that. The only
Right.
dogs you see in public, it's kind of weird. The only dogs you see in public in Europe are like generally like, kind of small, soft looking little dogs. Like there's never like, here you drive down a neighborhood, you'll see a Rottie walk in, you'll see, a mastiff of some sort,
Mhm.
you'll see a German Shepherd. Like it is extremely rare there to see stuff like that. They don't have the dog culture that we have here in North America. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I, I'll see a bunch of, I'll see people walking their big, strong dogs around, and like I won't even think twice here. Over there,
Mhm.
the only time you see those dogs is behind the gate in the garden, right? Like they're not out and about. They don't live life the way that we live with our dogs here in
Yeah.
general. They don't live like that there. And if they do, it's not a function of the training that they put on the dog. It's just a function of how the dog is. So, you get some soft little dog that, very sensitive, a little bit fearful, nervous, so stays close to mommy all the time. It's like, yeah, that's the dog they're taking out. But
Right.
they're
Why do
not
you?
taking a real one out.
Right. 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 But why do you think it's so much focus? It's like I had a lady on. It's called the Calgary Group, and what they do, it's a lot of legislations against dogs, and a lot
Yeah.
of us don't know about it, and they just fight these people all the time. So they came on. Why do you think it's so much of a adopt, don't shop, stop this, stop
Mhm.
that? And I know you sometimes you put that blue or purple wig on, and we
Mhm.
know it's some politicalness behind it. What's up with that, man?
Well, like you can't not make it political. It's a political ideology.
Right.
Right? It's an ideal. They're all like the same. They're not like they're not unpredictable. Like when I know I'm dealing with a force free trainer, here's the things that I know. They're
Mhm.
LGBTQRS friendly. Okay, I know that for sure.
Mhm.
Um, they're liberals, and not like in the classical sense, in like the
Like
modern sense, extreme
extreme liberal.
left wing ideology,
Mhm.
right? And they're probably have some mental health issues, and they're probably on some level of SSRI or something like that. And they're probably or they're engaging in recreational drug use. I know that. We know that. We
Yeah.
all know that, right? You just look at them, you know that's what's going on. There's some unresolved issues there from
Yeah.
childhood. And it listen, you always have to have, graciousness when you're dealing with people, regardless of whether you agree with them or not. But you know that these are the generally the life circumstances that these people are existing within. And so they're attracted to this utopian ideology that completely does what? Ignores nature, right?
Yeah.
It does not exist in a state of nature, their ideology. Their ideology could not survive even one day of the state of nature, right?
Right.
Because the state of nature is a what's the word? Nature is heartless. Nature
Yeah.
is what it is. It
Yeah.
doesn't care about what you feel. It is
Right.
what it is, right? But they divorce themselves from that because of course, like all the issues that they have don't allow them to appreciate the reality of the world in many ways, not just when it comes to dog training. So pretending that those two things are not the same is asinine. I know people get upset, oh Has, why are you making it political? It is political, and they make it political because again, these are not people that are satisfied to just kind of train their own way in their own little corner of the world. They
Mhm.
seek to change what everybody else can do
Well, yeah,
with
that's what I was gonna say.
legislation.
Yeah,
Yes.
legislation is what makes it political. When you fighting it that hard, is that you dead
But
right
it's a
about it.
political movement. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. People don't
Yeah.
realize it. They want to pretend
Yeah.
it's not. It is
Right.
a political movement. It is
Right.
a religious movement. And people, and
Right.
not religion as in God. God, believe me, God has nothing to do with it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But people believe in all sorts of things religiously,
Mhm.
blind faith,
Mhm.
and in many cases God has nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do
And
with it.
and that what they believe in is a religious belief. It is not a belief based in sound logic, reason, or an observation of the world and how it operates, or an
Yeah.
observation of nature. And so we must acknowledge that. And when we acknowledge that, we're able to properly deal with these individuals,
Mhm.
right?
Gotcha. Okay. All right. It done got good now, so we're in trouble officially. But I'm gonna start taking some comments from the chat here. Terry Cornish, he this is a friend of mine. He loved your breed profile on the Rottweiler. He was like, yes, so he thought it was very truthful. He says, the Rottweiler, your thoughts on the ability to do the sport of IGP at a high level, yet dock points because of speed and other things like the escape, which is the stop man. Why is that?
Well, Rottweiler, I don't think they struggle the most in protection. I think if anything, the Rottweiler can really shine in protection. Of course they do because they're a heavier body dog. IGP is a very technical sport in the sense of like, the technique of the protection is judged, not just the power. The Rottweiler generally has no power, or sorry, no problem bringing the power, but you'll see issues in the technical aspects of the drive transitions, the grip work, the striking, so on and so forth. But we've all seen videos of Rottweilers, steaming down the field and putting a helper on his ass. Like that's not something that we're not used to seeing. But they're just not built to do that sport like a shepherd is or a Malinois is. They just don't have that build. They don't have that brain, right? And so they're going to struggle in the technical aspects of the sport. Can they do it? Absolutely, right? There are a lot of dogs that can do IGP, but they will struggle in the technical aspects of the sport that differentiate the winners from the losers. And then, especially when you speak about high level IGP isn't just about getting through it. It's about doing it repeatedly. By the time you get to a top level trial, that same year, you've probably trialed 2, 3 times in order to just qualify to be there. Well, your typical Rottweiler at that point is going to be very well aware of what's going on. He'll be like, all right, we're in a trial. I'm about to fuck all of this up, right? Like it just is what it is. Like, you know, he knows what it is. He knows you're not going to stop him from doing what he wants to do, and he's going to do what he wants to do. And so, you know, that's what stops them from playing at the top level. Now, is there maybe like an individual out there somewhere that could? Sure. But is it going to be something I would ever gamble any amount of money or time on? Absolutely not. I think the Rottweiler is a fantastic guard dog. It can be a fantastic, you know, protection dog. And let's leave them there. They don't need to be sport dogs. That's just not what they're made for. You want to do sport? Get a sport dog, you know?
Oh, okay, cool. All right, here's another one from Complex Persona MK. I think are you in Canada too? There are no
I am, yes.
Well, I think Complex is too. And Bakari is in Canada. It's a young trainer here, so they in Canada in here tonight. There are no PSA 2 Rotties and maybe 2 ever PSA 1 Rottweilers. Do you think this is because most people who own quality Rotties do IGP and that's the sport familiar to the breed history? Will we ever see a PS2 3 Rottie?
I mean, again, anything's possible if you understand how the Rottweiler thinks and how the Rottweiler acts. Like, and then you understand like the sport of PSA, you realize that those two things are not a match, right? Like, even if he's a real good like bite work dog, like typically a Rottweiler that's really good at bite work, he brings a lot of dominance to the work. He's not fucking playing. Right, like he's real. So you think you're going to have like 20 decoys running up on him and screaming at him and doing all this stuff, and then you're going to put him in a trial environment and he's not going to bite and get DQ'd? For sure he will. Or he's not going to out because he's going to get pissed off at one of these guys and he's going to be ragdolling him like they can do, and he's just he's not coming off. So the likelihood that you get a real like a Rottweiler that has the nerve, the confidence, you know, to get through like the upper levels of that sport, but then also still remain under control is very, very minimal. Their brain, you know, their mindset is just not designed that way. Again, you can have, I'm sure there's some out there that can do it, but it's unlikely. It's unlikely.
Gotcha. All right, the co-producer here, he says, "Hi, I still say Susan Garrett would give you a run for your money walking off leash in public with a smiley face."
Well, maybe she could, you know. I probably shouldn't say that lady's name because apparently she's a nice lady. That's what everybody says. I just say it because like I literally don't know anybody else. Like I know her and I know Zach, and like I don't know, like there was a Karen Pryor, but she's dead now, so I can't call her out. You know what I mean? But like my point is simply this, you know, if you say that your way of training, you know, is so much the thing that I don't like beyond all the things that I've already mentioned about what, you know, when you're dealing with the force-free ideologues and their movement, is their constant implication that they can do what you do, and yet there's no documentary evidence to support such, and we all have video cameras with us at all times, right?
Right.
Like it's like if you can do it, then I should see plenty of videos of you, you know, or your acolytes or your people or your trainers, you know, showing that level of impulse control, you know, on the street that many balance trainers are able to show, you know, with a variety of breeds and dog, you know, just simple going for off leash walks, having dogs for long periods of time in the healing position, functionally healing, you know, showing high levels of impulse control under extreme levels of competing motivation. It's just that simple. I don't care about agility. I don't care about doggy dancing or any other sport because that's not the real world, right? At the end of the day, that's all fun and games, right? Even IGP, it's fun, right?
Right.
Our clients, the people that pay us money to actually help them with their dogs, they're in the real world. And if you can't train a dog for the real world, or even something simple, right? Like something so simple, like I'm sure you saw that reel I posted of the Roddy doing the little food aggression, right? Like a little guarding, right? Right?
Yeah.
Bro, like simple shit. I get these dogs in all the time. So how hard is it to be like, okay, this is him now. All right, well, wait a few weeks. Okay, we're done with him. Oh, there he is there. Like, how hard is that? And yet they always have some freaking excuse why they don't have that documentary evidence that what they do works. So stop saying it works, or stop saying you can do what we do. Just simply say we do what we do. No one really knows what we do, but we do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. We don't
Okay.
show it. Yeah.
But we're not going to pretend to do what you do. Okay,
Right.
because it's time that we stopped accepting that. Oh, I can. You did that with a shock collar. I think that's hilarious. I think it's fucking hilarious that you just can't do it. Don't worry
Mhm.
about what tools I was using, right? Like, just worry about the fact that you can't do it, right? Let's start calling them out for what it is. You can't do this. You just can't. This is simple stuff. You can't even do this, right?
Right.
And if you could, you would have video of it.
Okay. Michelle Testis want to know your thoughts on giant schnauzers.
I mean, they're pretty rare dogs, so I mean, eh, that them and Bouviers for me are kind of like the same thing. I've seen some nice ones, you know, cool looking dogs. Apparently, they don't shed, so that's nice. I mean, I couldn't tell you much else about them. I mean, I've worked some Bouviers. Um, you know, I've done some training, like some pet training with giant schnauzers. You know, they tend to be a little bit more on the tougher end of the spectrum, like kind of a little bit more on the stubborn end of the spectrum, but you know, they're cool dogs nonetheless. But I haven't trained enough of those individuals to really comment meaningfully on them.
Okay. All
Hmm.
right. Let me see. I don't see nothing right now. Let me bro, your eyes have been on. What? Well, there's Rottweiler people in there arguing with each other. Let me ask you about this. Like, stranger to controversy, you definitely not shy about answering questions neither. So I got one in on my phone about the DDR systems. Are you familiar with the 5A, 11A, 11B, 11C, all that stuff? Oh man.
If you want a DDR, go fucking get one.
Mm,
And don't blame me when that big nervy piece of shit acts like a big nervy piece of shit. Enjoy. You deserve it.
mhm.
Meanwhile, I'll be out there competing on the field,
Okay, so let me ask you
actually
this.
doing shit with my dog.
Right, right. So do you think it's like purely marketing when it comes to those old
Of
military?
course.
Okay,
Of
yeah.
course. Believe me.
Mhm.
Believe me, I get why people do it. It's fantastic. You
Right.
get to sell dogs based on mythical stories from like 60 years ago. You don't actually have to do anything with those dogs,
Mhm.
right? You can just sell dogs based on the mythical stories from like 60 years ago. Meanwhile, everybody that's doing anything meaningful in German Shepherds, whether
Mhm.
we're talking about the top level dog sport, which is where they're all at right now, or even something as simple as police service work, nobody's looking for DDR dogs. Nobody even says the words DDR. The only people that say it are suckers on the internet. And I know they get upset when I say this kind of stuff, but hey man, sometimes the medicine's a little bit tough and it doesn't taste so good going down. But let me tell you, if you want to be a sucker and you want a DDR dog, go get one, bro. It's all good, you know? Like I don't care to get one, and then you can tell cool stories about him on the internet and take cool pictures. There won't be any video of him working though. We all know
No.
that.
Yeah.
We all know that. There won't
Wow.
be any accomplishments on the big field. We all know that. But that's all right.
Right.
I'm sure your dog's too real for sport anyways.
Okay, so let me get y'all, we about to wrap it up. Within the next few minutes, you got any good questions? I'll ask them, but somebody said guy tried to sell me one the other day. No evidence of papers, but tried to convince me to give him money. Okay.
Mhm.
So where do you see Shield K9 headed in the next few years? Expanding services, new training approaches, or community outreach? What you got?
We are selling a lot of dogs these days.
Okay.
So we're transitioning. I mean, we still do a lot of pet training, but I'm thinking our pet training programs are probably going to go more and more online. And we're going to transition into selling more of our dogs because that's where the market's going right now, and that's what people seem to really like is the puppies from our breeding program and the training packages that we sell with them. I mean, we're still going to have a pet dog training, wing of the company, and it's going to still operate, but we're also increasing our presence online in terms of online training, so on and so forth. We're able to train with people all around the world now. It's not just limited to people that can make it to our facility. So we're able to, ship dogs everywhere. So like
Right.
that's obviously, what we're going to be doing moving forward in the future.
So you said an uptick on selling protection dogs? Is it more?
Yeah, selling even not even just protection dogs. Like people like the idea of buying a well-bred German Shepherd and
Right.
having you train it to be a nice family pet.
Yeah.
Like not everybody wants a protection dog. In fact, many people don't, but they want a well-trained dog that they can coexist with and take out and about and, have all the fun that you would have with a dog. And so we offer training packages that are not even protection focused for people like that, and there are many.
So let me ask you this here.
Mm.
I'm starting to get a bunch of questions. Guys, I'm about to let them go, but I'm gonna ask just a few. Uh, how does Hash feel about people bashing pioneer trainers like Conrad most?
Yeah, I mean, you're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? It's like you're standing on the shoulders of giants right now. Like we all are. These
Hmm.
guys were figuring it out before the internet, right?
Hmm.
Before any of this stuff was commonly available. I find that, the internet has made people very entitled,
Yes.
and they don't realize the enormous benefit that the internet offers them, both in terms of a wealth of information and also, the ability to regurgitate what other people say instead of actually developing these ideas with time on the leash. So most people that talk on the internet, they don't have time on the leash. They're just saying what they heard somebody else
Yes,
say,
sir. Yeah.
right? And guys
Right.
like Conrad and all those other guys, it
Skinner.
was it
Yeah.
was long time on the leash and hard times on the leash, and that's how
Right.
they learn. So
Yeah.
yeah, we don't
Kohler,
talk
all those
about
guys.
those guys.
Yeah. Brother Herrera, will you ever change your mind about PSA and participating, creating a new standard of what PSA should look like?
At this time, no. I mean, anything's possible. They say never. Um, you know, I hope that PSA changes because I think more dog sports out there are good, and the more there is available for people to engage in, the better. But right now, I enjoy the level of competition afforded to me in the game of IGP. I go to a world championship. There's 156 dogs, and God knows, I don't know, like 40 countries there. You know what I mean? Like you can't get that in any other dog sport, right? So that's the game that I'm playing right now.
Right. Okay. Davina says, "Oh, she about to buy another dog, y'all. She got 6 man stoppers right now. Is it difficult to get one of your dogs down here to the United States?"
Not at all. I sell most of my dogs to the United States.
Okay. Let me ask this question from the co-producer. I'm gonna ask it like this. Joe said, damn, I'm Joe. Doug says, Joe, there's a question. How do you read dogs for decoying? Is there a course that they can refer to that answers this question?
Yeah, I mean, I have a protection foundations course.
Hmm.
And I go into all the different things when it comes to there's hours of footage in that course about teaching a dog to activate building arousal, pursuit, grip, possession, problem solving, all the various things as a decoy you're going to need to know.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Last one, y'all, and I'm gonna let them go because y'all trying to hit me with questions on my phone everywhere. For someone watching today who's considered a protection dog, what are the 3 most important criteria they should evaluate before deciding to invest in one?
Well, number one, of course, your budget, because these dogs ain't cheap.
Mhm.
They're pretty pricey. And knowing all the expenses that go into producing one, that's the biggest thing, right? Number two, buying from from a place that's going to give you the product that you want, right? Everybody can make a cool 10-second reel, but everybody kind of has a little bit of a different idea of what their life is going to look like when they live with one of these dogs, right? So you have something in your head about how it's going to be when that dog is with me. Here's how I'm going to live. He's going to be like right over there on the couch next to me, or I'm going to be driving, he's going to be in the front seat with me. Whatever it is that you're thinking, right? In terms of how you want to live with the dog. What you need to do is when you're calling companies and deciding whether this is for you, you need to ask them, look, like these are the things that I want to do with the dog. This is how I'm going to live with this dog, right? Is this realistic? Is this what you're offering? Right. And you need to determine that, because different companies have very different offerings. The dogs might look the same, but the training and the programs are often very, very different. Right. So it's a 12-year investment. And if you buy the right one, you'll keep coming back for more. And if you buy the wrong one, you're going to regret, pissing away the 40 to 80 grand, ballpark that you're going to spend on that dog. Right. So it's just one of those things where you have to know what lifestyle you want to live with that dog. And then, of course, what do you want the dog to realistically be able to do? Right. Oh, I want that dog to smoke anyone that comes in my house. Okay, so do you have like a busy house? Oh yeah, like I got 3 gardeners, and I got the nanny coming over every other day, and the cleaning ladies are here once a week, so the dog has to be good with them. Okay, so there's some things to talk about now, right? These are the conversations that you need to have so that you can get a realistic appreciation of is what you want possible, number one. And then, listen, there's some shysters out there. They'll tell you, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The dog will protect you. He'll know. He'll know when it's like, he'll know when it's danger, but he'll be great with everybody. Like people come over, no problem. Yeah, like he's going to let everybody in the house. He'll just know the bad ones. He'll stop those ones. And they don't care. You pay them their 50 grand. They know that dog probably, they'll never hear back from you because you'll never find out. So, just be aware.
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, that's how the cleaning lady get ate up, ain't it?
Yeah.
But last one for real. Speaking of decoying, will he create a decoying course?
Well, my Protection Foundations course is about that. If you're talking about a suit work course, I'm actually in the process of making one that got held up because I was working on some other little projects. But I have a suit work course that I'm working on about, like, how to catch dogs, how to drive dogs in a suit, how to, reinforce gripping behavior in dogs in a suit, so on and so forth. So, and then I also have a Patreon where I post all sorts of stuff in the Patreon, and there's all sorts of stuff already on there. So you guys can check that out. And there's lots of random little, instructional videos on variety of topics, from pet training to decoy work to competition dog sport.
Gotcha. All right. Has, I appreciate it once again, man, going over your course, because I've been interested, and a lot of other people been wanting me to get you on to talk about it.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It was good talking to you, Joe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everybody, if you want to find him, type in Shield K9 anywhere. He popping up. All right. Until the next time, people.
Peace out.
All right. Give your dog the best start possible. We offer proven tools, products, and supplements backed by our real-world experience and our passion for healthy dogs.